Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the 10-minute forecast walkthrough. I'm Dave and I'm joined here by Adam from our customer success team who will be walking you through the tool. Before I hand over the mic, I want to let you know that we'll be on the chat answering questions as we go, and we'll have a live Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, fire away. Also, these 10-minute sessions are a new format for us, so we'd really appreciate your feedback on what you find useful and even what you find not so useful. Okay, without further ado, here's Adam. Take it away, Adam.
Excellent. So hello and welcome to Forecast webinars, where you will see how Forecast can benefit a wide range of IT development and IT consultancy companies. I will use an environment showing the works of a hypothetical company, let us call them ABC Consulting, for instance, whose activity illustrates how the platform is used to manage resources and projects better. With this in mind, allow me to introduce you to my trusty project manager, Bernard Willie. Now, Bernard, like many of us, used to rely on a spreadsheet such as this one here, which took him about an hour every day to keep workable. Even then, a large and complex spreadsheet such as this one here is perhaps not the most optimal solution to base your progress on, because, well, first, it's not live, and secondly, it takes far more effort to understand than it ought to. Now, as Bernard began using Forecast, things are quite a bit different. Now, he focuses on his work divided into digestible, achievable chunks in a clear format, using Forecast features of project scoping, seen in this slide here, and scheduling, at which we will look in detail shortly. So, let us now sign in to Forecast to see how Bernard's work could look like on a typical day of work. Now, Bernard is a busy person, and what he wants is a quick but exhaustive overview of his projects to help him plan and stay in control. Things change, of course, and the information Bernard is interested in can alter as well. For example, Bernard is coming back from holidays, like many of us have in recent weeks, and although he remembers what his projects are about in terms of description and perhaps the general direction, he needs to see how the projects are doing financially. Now, unlike in many other project management solutions, in Forecast, he accounts for the change of focus by adjusting his view, which he can do as easily as a few clicks away. And then moments later, Bernard is asked by his director of operations to focus on a specific aspect of his project, such as a client, for instance. With all this in mind, Bernard digs deeper into what is going on with one of his biggest projects for Orange. Now, Bernard begins his day properly by having a look at his statement of work and scope to, for instance, provide his bosses with an assessment of the tasks specific for that project. Accordingly, he chooses to work only with active milestones. Yes, excellent. And then, as he reads through the page, he realizes that two of the tasks in the training milestones need to be rescheduled for a later time in January, as the holidays caused a small delay. To have it done all in one go, he uses the bulk editing options to help him work and account for some of the more manual part of his work. And in this way, he can save a lot of time and spend this time on tasks that call for his undivided attention. But of course, as a project manager, Bernard's work does not end here. Importantly, Bernard no longer needs to switch endlessly between multiple disconnected solutions, as in Forecast, he has everything he needs in one place. For instance, he monitors the progress and status of work with the familiar yet powerful tool of Kanban boards. Now, unlike the solid yet, well, simple solutions such as Trello, Forecast helps Bernard to automate processes. In Bernard's team, for instance, it is sometimes a bit of a problem to motivate people to register hours. Bernard can now make their life far easier. Notice what happens when the encourage time entry option is switched on. Now, if a person in Bernard's team or Bernard himself switches the tasks from column to column, automatically a log time entry window is prompt, and it's really easy and convenient to just log the time and having the job done straight away. And of course, Bernard stays in command when, for example, work is being divided in a new way in terms of a new stage, for instance, or something similar. So when a revision in the way work is being processed appears, Bernard can quickly reflect those changes and make sure that forecast reflects the way he works and not the other way around. Importantly, since Bernard works for an IT company, the most popular mode of work is Agile. And with the new website development project for Orange in full swing, the developers request that Bernard plans and populates well-defined sprints with a clear selection of tasks. With the backlog in place, seen here, it is easy to populate the different sprints, almost as easy as it is to create a new one, with the dates set in automatically according to individual settings. Now, importantly, there are a number of filtering options which help to navigate through the backlog. So if you were, for example, to focus only what needs to be done, as Bernard would want to do, populating his sprint 7, nothing easier. Crucially, on the very same day, Bernard gets a call from the client that the scope of the project for Orange has to be shortened just a little bit, as the login page for the website Bernard's team is working on has to be done, it turns out, well, yesterday. Seems pretty stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Bernard simply goes onto the timeline, which is the visual representation of what he has done in scoping, and is able to adjust and accordingly adjusts and shortens the scope of the project, as well as moving his tasks and milestones around. Now, importantly and relatedly, in projects like this, work is often governed by relationships between tasks. For example, take demonstration milestone, i.e. a phase of this project. Arguably, before reports can be finalized, the drafts and review have to first be done, completed. Now, it is easy for Bernard to express this relationship and notice that once it has been set up, if he needs to move it, as he does in our scenario, he can just move the entire structure, which is very helpful in practical terms. Then onto the budget, because numbers are of course important. This page is a source of some powerful insights for Bernard. Here, he tracks his actuals and planned values for his project as a whole. And importantly, he gets to see his actual variance to plan, which helps in planning the next moves for the future. And then the next step for Bernard is to actually manage his resources. And for this, he wants to look into a slightly more focused view. Now, what you see here is Bernard's heat map, with which he anticipates potential bottlenecks and reduces risks. For example, Bernard checks for the detailed breakdown of work of a given team member, for example, Anna Turner, in terms of the projects and tasks she's working on. And he looks at the breakdown to add an allocation to ensure that every team member is not idle and their potential in terms of work is fully utilized. Perfect. This is exactly what every good project manager wants to see. And Bernard can also work with unassigned tasks, shown here, which are conveniently ordered by role. So say, for example, that he's looking at the task for Android developers. All he needs to do is to filter by the role to see 2 team members. And then it is as simple as dragging and dropping the task to, say, Olaf Stevenson, who is now working on the given task. Login page back. Finally, with the busy and eventful workday almost over, Bernard is kindly reminded by his clients to give an indication of the progress of his work given the recent changes in scope. No worries, he's got it all sorted. He simply goes for live reports in the report section and chooses to go straight in for the details. Notice that he's able to share the reports with his partners or clients, even if any of them or all of them perhaps are not a part of the platform itself. And as we can see, the project is doing pretty well, in fact, so there is something nice to show. And of course, he gets a more granular view should he choose to do so. But of course, this is not all. He can also ensure that his clients and partners are happy by giving and showing them actual numbers. And for this, and especially for Bernard's own guidance, because this is quite important too, he has a powerful tool of financial portfolio report in his hands, where he has a number of different options to see, including, for example, budget type, which would help him to get a better view of what's going on. And he can do it in terms of money and time. Thank you very much for your attention. That will be it for the presentation itself. And let's have some questions now. Great. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks, Adam. We are going to open it up for questions now. So if you have any questions you'd like answered by Adam, just write them into the chat now. We've got a couple that have come in. So the first one is the pop-up when completing a task the only way to register time?
No. In fact, there are a number of different ways you can register time in Forecast. Let me just show you what I have in mind. For example, there is the entire field of timesheets, which means that you get a clear calendar view with a given day. And here the procedure is rather simple. You choose a task for a given project. So for example, say this project on a given task, for example, T69, and notice that the AI gives you suggestions of how long the task could work. So it's just a matter of choosing whatever you feel appropriate or doing it from scratch, say 4. Similar applies to internal time and time off, which are the 2 categories in Forecast of tracking time, which is not directly related to a project, but which you nevertheless would like to keep registering time on. So when adding time, you see all your registrations seen here. Easy does it.
Okay, we've got another question here. When looking into the schedule, you can see the detailed view, which will help you to solve resource management issues on a short term. Excellent. Thank you very much. We agree. But can you also stimulate on a more longer term in a generic view? That way we can see how we need to shift projects or go to the market and search new profiles.
Good one. Good one. In fact, you can, yes. Well, so first things first, you would probably want to begin by taking a slightly larger step from the scope and then looking at the project section, which is just like another aspect of scheduling, where you will see all your projects and you will see them in terms of your milestones and how completed they are, and in terms of time. And of course, you can adjust them as well. And with the different statuses of projects in terms of running or planning, you can address your strategies here
And you can also use virtual users for your planning.
for capacity planning. In fact,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, next question. Hello, Adam. I would like to know more about the AI portion of your solution. On your website, you stated that AI notifies you if your project or budget starts to slip. Can you show a quick demo? Do we have the data in here? So this is a demo account. I'm not sure we have enough data in here to show like live AI.
That is unfortunately true, because AI, as we all know, works by learning on the data. So more data it has, more sophisticated and smart it becomes. But nevertheless, I'll be more than happy to reach you via email.
Yeah,
And
we'll
address it
show you
there.
a demo via email.
But this is definitely something that could be arranged. Yeah. So cheers for the good one.
Okay, next question. Really like the view of upcoming timeline and resource management and the costs forecast. I have an established Jira cloud set up. Can I integrate to take advantage of these features?
Indeed, you can.
100%.
More about the integration, I'll be more than happy to write a quick email with some specifications and also send you a couple of links to our help center and the website where we specify how exactly this works, and importantly, how could you get it into work for you.
Yes. Okay. So the next question, how do you manage employee time off in Forecast to ensure you're not booking them whilst they are on holidays?
Thank you. This is a good one too. Very good question so far, actually. So in Forecast, we do it through a concept of non-project time, you see. This is my admin panel, which is the control unit of every Forecast user who has a permission level of admin. And in any case, we do distinguish internal time and time off. And if your colleague was sick, for example, you would establish an internal time of category of sickness, for instance. And when you are registering time or assigning people to, say, sickness in schedule, then it would essentially block their time away for sickness. And you could choose the non-project time of sickness, for instance. So I hope it helps.
Yes. Okay. We've got some more questions. Does it automatically structure or tier dependencies from epics and tasks with the Jira integration in scheduling? So that's a specific question. Hang on, let me confirm.
Yes.
No, it does not. Okay. We will get you some information on how that works, but it looks like it syncs all the tasks.
That's right. I mean, I would probably have a couple of questions to clarify exactly the situations we are talking about, but prima facie, no.
Yes. Okay. So tasks are synced, sprints are synced, time registrations. There's a pretty robust sync between Jira and Forecast, but I think that one it does not do. All right. The next question. Thank you. I will be waiting. Oh, this is just a response. Yes, we will send out a recording.
Oh, yes, certainly.
So you guys will all get a recording of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. Within a project, how many subcategories can you create? For instance, for a video production project, can I create pre-production, production, and post-production categories? And within those subcategories, can I add more tasks?
Sure. Within the workflow, if I understand the question correctly, you can choose to essentially divide the project into however many stages you need them to be. So say, for example, that I'm working on this project here, right? And I have to do bugs and progress revision. You could do the same and just add and stack columns as you go along. And then each task will have the different stages, the status stages reflected within it. So yeah, you could make it your own if that's what you were driving at.
Yeah. Okay. So Aldo is saying that we should show subtasks within the tasks. Can you bring that up on them?
Absolutely.
So that's a good way to dig in and there.
And you can of course add a subtask section, which
Yes.
works quite a lot like a to-do.
Yes. So I hope that answers your question. If not, let us know. We'll give you a detailed answer in whatever level of detail you need afterwards via email.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, next question. Other than monitoring the people count in a project, can we manage equipment resources as like an architectural project? So that one I know, it's not designed to track like physical resources. So if you wanted to do something like book a meeting room, it's not that kind of resource tracking.
Right, it's more about human resources and especially, well, resources that track and register time on their work.
Yeah, so it's not a good way to manage like who has checked out what equipment, etc. Hope that answers the question. Okay, looks like we've got a partial question here. Oh, okay, this is the same question that we just looked at, but with a little bit more detail. Yes, can you see subtasks in the timeline view? I don't think those show up in timeline. So those are usually just the steps that go into completing the task that you've marked, and the task overall is in the timeline view.
That's right, yes. So this is how the task would look like, and you can of course work on it more as you go along by adding, for example, a subtask section.
Yeah, and that does do the loading bar effect in the Kanban board, where you can see how far along are the subtasks that make up that task. But that doesn't show up in the timeline view.
No, not quite. As presented in this example, yes.
Cool. Okay, we have just a couple more minutes before we need to cut this off. So I've got one other question here. I don't want to micromanage. How can my team manage their own workloads?
Nice one. Well, in Forecast, this is done with the help of My Tasks page. For an individual user, you would see the list of all tasks through which you can navigate using the different filters by, for example, sprints and using whatever you need. In any case, when you have gotten to what you need, you would start your tasks to help you narrow down what needs to be done. And importantly, you can also help yourself to organize your work by using the deadline sorting to see what needs to be done immediately. And for example, I can see that I've got a couple of things coming up, and I can just start them to get them into my focus with all the information I need, and I can filter through them once more to make sure that I'm working and looking at only those things which serve my work best.
So just to clarify, so a question just came in on the chat here. How do you get this view, the My Tasks view? If you notice in the upper left corner, it's actually like right in the middle of the screen, but right above My Starred Tasks there, you can see a beta tag. That's because this feature is in beta. It's coming very soon. If you'd like to get access to this, we can get you beta access.
Absolutely.
Just reach out and check on that.
No time. We can be done easily, yes.
Okay, another question here. Last question, and then please continue sending us questions. Any questions you guys send in that we don't have time to get to, we're going to follow up with email.
Absolutely. I'm happy to.
But I've just got one last one here. Which features would you say make Forecast better than Monday?
Well, quite a few to be honest, but I think, well, scheduling to begin with, which is very unique to forecast and very powerful, especially the heat map here and the ability it gives you, the flexibility of just seeing what's going on, predicting and adding allocations in time. That's quite unique. But also reporting, such as financial reports, which we look at, and of course, last but not least, the budget page, which is a really powerful tool. And in fact, many project managers spend quite a lot of time looking at the numbers here, because just the level of detail and precision it gives is, well, rather astounding, really. So yeah, I'd say scheduling, budgeting, and financial reports in general.
Yeah, and maybe to sum it up overall, Monday.com is designed to be it's task management, not necessarily holistic project or portfolio management. So here you can see a lot more information.
Oh yes, far more indeed, yes.
Yes, okay. So we want to be respectful of people's time. I really appreciate you guys all joining us today. We're going to cut it off here, and everybody whose questions that we didn't get to, we're going to write you an email right after this. So thank you so much for your time. Since this is a new format, like I mentioned, we'd really appreciate your feedback on your thoughts on which parts of this were useful, and maybe if there were some that you didn't find useful, just let us know, high, low, what did you think? And we'll use that to improve this process and get better as we go.
Thanks in advance for any feedback.
Yes, and the recording of this will be made available shortly. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much indeed.
Have a great day.
Indeed. Bye.